DeleteLawZ DeCastro drama and goose eggs for Saturday. Will this be the end of the GoFundMe column? Audit Them finds a cop who's normal and doesn't care if he's filmed? What? Plus, DeCastro takes on a group of police and leaves happily and smiling. What the what? All this and more on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast. I'm Jim Finch and I'll be your host for the first edition in a week, as I've been sidelined with an illness you can't mention on YouTube. We'll have more about that later tonight, but first, put on your mask as we ask you to focus on DeleteLawZ funding drama and Saturday goose eggs. On the first of two live streams Saturday night into Sunday morning, DeleteLawZ Jose Chili DeCastro reminded his fans that he was being forced to raise the pricing of his indestructible trifolds from $12 to $15, with $11 shipping and handling as of Monday morning. DeCastro's cost struggles follow a pattern of DeCastro ignoring the past concerns of former financial advisors who had told him that lowering the prices of the trifold and 5A cop cards would not offset costs in the production of the merchandise. The YouTuber apparently wasn't filming from his new studio in the Hollywood area, as he was concerned about becoming overexcited as there were others around him sleeping. He attempted to keep his nerves calm during the entire broadcast, going so far as not to name other auditors who may upset him when he was discussing qualified immunity versus Terry versus Ohio, leaving them named as other famous people. DeCastro announced that soon all of his videos would be over on his Patreon, which would feature uncensored versions of his work for a starting point of $10 a month. As of Sunday morning, DeCastro has had 3 paid memberships on that site, out of 34 total members, and is estimated to be pulling in $27 a month after Patreon costs, based on his current membership levels. It's interesting to note that despite DeCastro pushing his Patreon as the place for investors to come and invest in his product, no one has taken him up on the $1,000 a month investor level membership, despite his claims that he has people knocking on his door looking for investment opportunities. Changing subjects, DeCastro cheered on longtime fan and moderator Mikey B, who claimed in a message displayed by DeCastro that he had just filed unlawful arrest and imprisonment charges against police for a recent arrest. DeCastro then pulled up ChatGPT and showed his fans how to get ChatGPT to produce property return forms, body cam requests, and other legal documents. The YouTuber added that his friend Zane Kane once used ChatGPT to write an entire federal civil rights lawsuit that apparently impressed a judge. Commenting on his great fame, DeCastro warned that he was so well known that social media companies were conspiring against him to hold back his business and his growing movement. DeCastro cited his loss of TikTok and Instagram accounts and how he was being shadow banned by YouTube at the moment as examples of how social media was punishing him for his great fame. He warned that he was being forced to go to Patreon and his new channel that would be released in a week or two as his only means to survive financially. DeCastro did not update the status of great friend Michael Eline, who DeCastro previously announced having a 1-week YouTube ban for unspecified reasons. Adding to the financial woes of auditors, we'll end the column with a note that for the first time in months, none of the GoFundMe accounts that we follow took in a donation, meaning that we had a goose egg Sunday. If 7 of these happen in a row, this column will be retired, and Jim can be free to find a new filler column to start the newscast with, though we'll have to find new ways to promote the GoFundMe to keep the newspaper alive. On that note, if you'd like to continue to force Jim into having to write this column each and every day, you can contribute to our GoFundMe run by the channel. All proceeds count in the tally. There's no goose egg sweep as long as one fund gets a donation, and go to keeping lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Audit Them audits Oak Brook Terrace Police Department. The auditor known as Audit Them took to the police department in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois, in a new video released to his channel on Saturday, featuring his usual look for materials that should be on display to the public according to Illinois state statutes. Audit Them encountered Patrol Sergeant Hilton, who was on duty in the lobby of the station for the day. After some feeling out by the officer, who was unsure of the things that Audit Them was saying, due to his strange accent and stranger actions, the two men came to an accord. Hilton eventually agreed to get all of the required information that Audit Them claimed was in the statute. While Audit Them agreed not to demand a printout of the material at that moment, he also said that his real goal for asking for printouts would then be to ask the person who handed him the printout for Scotch tape and then post the information himself in the building to fulfill the requirements of the statute. While this was not an option at the current audit, Audit Them agreed that he will return in the future for a follow-up audit. He informed Sergeant Hilton that he would be performing several more audits in the area before making his return trip to the building. Audit Them gave the Oak Brook Terrace Police Department a failing grade, but did not indicate that he was going to send that failing grade to the Illinois Attorney General. He seemed to be impressed by Sergeant Hilton's attempts to work with him, and we'll see what his follow-up session brings. As normal with recent audits, Audit Them admitted that he was working for himself, again implying that it was today only, and later explained to his viewers what he meant by that as he walked back to his car. He explained, "Today I'm just a member of the public. What I mean by that is that's true today. I'm a regular member of the public. That's not saying that tomorrow I may be. Well, tomorrow, meaning the near future, I may be in office. Right, I may be working. I may be elected. I may be working in office. I may be elected. So that's why I say today I'm a regular member of the public. 'Cause who knows what the near future, I might run for office." Audit Them is expected to continue to his audit tour of Illinois later this week. DeleteLawZ seeks officers in West Hollywood. Social media icon and scorn of police lovers across the world, DeleteLawZ DeCastro walked the streets of West Hollywood early Sunday morning in search of contact with police officers who he had hoped to convince to stop using handcuffs to detain suspects of crimes. DeCastro encountered a group of police officers responding to a domestic incident within an apartment complex. As one of the officers recognized DeCastro, the YouTuber pretended to remember which of the thousands of officers the officer was until being reminded of the circumstances of their last encounter. The officer, joined by a second officer, was willing to entertain DeCastro's thoughts as they patiently waited for other officers to exit the building. The usual pitches came out: torture cuffs are always torture, digital detainment will work in 90% of crimes, some people need to be shot by police, etc. A newer idea that DeCastro has begun to promote didn't go over as well with his audience. That was the idea that if someone is placed in handcuffs, they immediately and forever hate the police for having been put in chains. DeCastro seemed to cling to the idea and even said that he was filming a new series to show police how they were doing things wrong and how his approaches would better suit the public. He said he found a place to rent cheap police outfits before catching himself and saying that he was revealing too much to his home audience. DeCastro briefly described another newish idea that police should be fired if they ever shut off their body cams, which brought a joking response by one of the officers that he wouldn't be comfortable when he was getting dressed or using the bathroom. As an alternative, DeCastro brought up his idea of forcing police to wear helmets that recorded the 360-degree angle around the officer's body to capture their every move while on duty. Again, an idea which did not receive a positive response from the officers. After wrapping up with the officers who refused to advance his ideas with their superiors, DeCastro mentioned to his viewers that he lived in Manhattan for a year in 2012, countering previous claims of 10 years of living in New York City, and then got his dog Charlie out of the parked van. Charlie was allowed to run around without a leash before DeCastro entered the stream and returned to his vehicle. And we're back. I'm still recovering from a bout with the virus over the past week. It was scary as this was the first time I've been sick since relying on my voice for a living now, and I did briefly consider using a service to clone my voice from previous recordings to keep things alive. Thankfully, extreme poverty and the threat of pants to unalive anyone associated with cloned voices kept me from doing anything more than lying in bed and dreaming of replacing the need for me to speak with AI Jim. Donations are welcome if you'd like to help us make up for the revenue we lost while we were out. Super chats or thanks are always appreciated. We're trying to come back slowly, but we'll be back to a normal schedule one of these days. I hope everyone else is safe and healthy, and we'll see you again tomorrow.